Dad texted at 7:14 p.m., right when I was hanging a pink birthday banner with tiny gold stars in our living room. We'll miss your daughter's birthday. Things are tight right now. No heart emoji. No apology. Just a message cold enough to chill the air around me. I stared at the screen, biting the inside of my cheek. That's okay. I typed it automatically, muscle memory from a lifetime of lowering expectations. My little girl hummed in the background, arranging cupcakes with too many sprinkles, her tiny hands sticky with frosting. Her 5th birthday. I tried to swallow the lump rising in my throat. There was a time I would have called him, offered to pay, begged him just to show up. But I don't beg anymore. We cut the cake, we laughed, we danced to Disney songs in our living room. I told myself it was enough. That she didn't need anyone else. That I was enough. Until morning. 7:02 a.m. She crawled into bed beside me, scrolling through my phone with sleepy giggles. Until her laughter stopped. "Mommy," she whispered, voice suddenly tiny, breakable. Her finger hovered over my father's Facebook post. A photo. My dad, smiling ear to ear, party hats, balloons, cake, 2 other grandchildren on his lap. Caption. Best day ever, celebrating with the grandkids. My daughter's lip trembled. Why not me? 3 words. Soft, confused, and sharp enough to crack open every scar I thought I had healed. I pulled her close, breathing through a sting behind my eyes. I didn't break, but I bent. Quietly. Purposefully. When she went back to her cartoons, I opened my laptop. 1 click. 2nd click. Every savings transfer. Every emergency fund attachment. Every automatic deposit. Frozen. No warning. No message. No second chances. By 8 a.m. my phone lit up. Dad calling. I didn't answer. Not yet. Some lessons aren't spoken. They're felt. And today he was about to feel everything he ever made me swallow. The second missed call came 30 seconds after the first. Then a third. Then a text, short and sharp. Call me now. I stared at the screen, coffee cooling in my hand. Once upon a time that tone would have made me panic, scramble to fix whatever wasn't even my fault. But I didn't move. Didn't rush. Just breathed. My daughter was at the kitchen table, swinging her legs while coloring a unicorn. She hummed softly, still innocent, still hopeful, still believing the world was kind. I envied her for that. I hated the world for trying to take it from her. The phone buzzed again. Dad, what did you do? My card declined at the pharmacy. I took a sip of my now lukewarm coffee. Calm. Steady. This wasn't anger. It was clarity. 2 minutes later Mom called. I answered. Her voice came in frantic, breathless, like a woman running from her own reflection. Why are the accounts frozen? Your father is furious. We needed that money. Needed. As if I were a bank. Not a daughter. Kept my voice level. Things are tight right now. Silence. A heavy one. The kind where truth settles like dust no one wants to disturb. Don't be dramatic, she snapped. We have responsibilities. Your nieces needed school supplies. I cut her off gently. My daughter needed her grandparents yesterday. That landed. I heard it. The crack in her breath. That wasn't personal, she tried. A familiar line. One I swallowed my whole life. Maybe it wasn't, I said. But the consequences are. I hung up before she could raise her voice. Before she could twist guilt into chains again. Across the table my daughter looked up, cheeks pink, crayon in hand. Mommy? Can Grandpa come next time? I walked over, kissed her forehead and tucked a curl behind her ear. He'll come someday, I whispered, more for her than for truth. But until then we have each other. She smiled, a small, trusting smile, and I felt something shift. Not revenge. Not triumph. Resolution. This time I was choosing her, the child I once was and the child I was raising. And I wasn't bending again. By noon the quiet was gone. My phone lit up nonstop, calls, texts, voicemails stacking like dominoes. Dad didn't ease in. He detonated. Dad, you ungrateful brat. We supported you for years. Dad, you will fix this today. Dad, family is family. Act like it. Funny thing? I scrolled through his messages from the last year. 1 birthday text. 2 generic holiday forwards. Nothing else. Family was only family when I paid for it. Meanwhile my daughter was in the backyard chasing bubbles in the sun, squealing every time one popped on her nose. She didn't know her innocence had just been drafted into a war she never asked for. I stepped outside, sat on the patio steps, letting cold wood ground me. The phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Her voice carried that brittle sweetness she used when masking blame with concern. Why are you doing this to us, sweetheart? Your father is embarrassed. People will talk. It wasn't love. It was reputation. Mom, I said soft but firm. You posted best day ever with the grandkids. Pause. Said. A flicker of defensiveness. You're overreacting. We didn't think she'd understand. I blinked slowly. She's 5. And she understood enough to ask why she wasn't loved. Silence again. Then Mom said the line I used to swallow. But not anymore. You know we can't be everywhere. No, I said, voice steady. You just choose where to be. And it's never with us. Her tone snapped sharp. You don't talk to your parents this way. I felt it then, not anger. Grief. Grief for the little girl inside me who waited at windows for grandparents who never came. For the adult who kept giving chances to people who never deserved one. No, I whispered. Not anymore. I hung up. Not in rage. In release. Inside my daughter called, voice bright. Mommy, come blow bubbles with me. And I did. Because that call mattered. He mattered. And maybe, just maybe, it was my turn to choose where I showed up to. By evening I'd learned something funny about people who take you for granted. They don't panic when you're hurting. They panic when their comfort is disrupted. In my silence, it was the loudest thing I'd ever said. Dad didn't call again. No, now it was extended family. Unknown numbers. Cousins I hadn't heard from since 2019 suddenly caring. Hey, your mom is worried. Did something happen? You know family shouldn't fight. No mention of my daughter. Not one. I put my phone face down and walked into the kitchen, where she sat wearing a tiara, eating leftover birthday cake for breakfast dinner, because she asked, and why not? Mommy, she said, mouth full of frosting, do bubbles count as wishing magic? I nodded. They do when you believe in them. She smiled, pure, trusting, untouched by the world's selfishness. I envied that softness, but also promised myself she'd never lose it the way I once did. The doorbell rang. For a beat I froze. Old instinct. Old fear. Expecting confrontation. But it was only the UPS guy. A package addressed to me from no one I recognized. Inside, a simple silver frame. No note. No sender info. Just a quote inside. Sometimes the family you build deserves more than the family you're born to. For a second the world stood still. A lump rose in my throat, vulnerability pressing through the cracks. Someone saw me. Someone understood. And it steadied me more than anger ever could. That night as I tucked my daughter into bed, she whispered, Mom, did I do something wrong? Is that why they didn't come? My heart clenched. Not rage. Heartbreak. I held her face gently. No, baby. You're everything good. And people who can't see that, that's about them, not you. She nodded slowly, eyes soft with trust. And I realized, I wasn't just protecting her from them. I was rewriting a childhood. Hers. And mine. Before bed I checked my phone once more. A message from Dad finally came. We need to talk. This is childish. Fix it. I smiled. Calm, resolved, unshaken. Tomorrow he'd learn what fixing actually looks like. Morning sunlight spilled across the kitchen floor when my phone buzzed again. Not a call this time. A long text from Dad. Paragraphs. Anger dressed as authority. You can't punish us for one misunderstanding. Real families support each other. We always helped you. Help me. I looked around the life I built brick by brick. Alone. Late nights. Tears in silence. No mom holding my hand. No dad cheering in bleachers. They helped the idea of me, the daughter they bragged about when convenient, not the girl who cried herself to sleep some nights. I typed slowly, deliberately. You never supported me. You financed your image. Not my life. I didn't send it. Not yet. Not out of fear. But precision. Words matter when you're reclaiming your voice. While my daughter colored unicorns at the table, I brewed coffee and felt a different kind of strength settle into my bones. Not rage. Not revenge. Awareness. The doorbell rang again, persistent this time. When I opened it, my aunt stood there, breathless, clutching her purse like a shield. Sweetheart, you need to stop this. Your parents are devastated. Your father's blood pressure. I held up a hand. No. We're not doing guilt today. He blinked, stunned. No one in our family ever interrupted the elders. Her voice dropped to a whisper. This isn't you. I smiled. A small, knowing smile. Yes. It is. The version you never bothered to know. Her mouth opened, then closed. She left without another word. As I shut the door, my daughter peeked from behind the wall. Are we in trouble? She asked. I knelt to her level. No. We're finally safe. Because that's what boundaries are. Not walls to keep love out, but walls to keep harm from walking back in. I gathered my laptop, opened the banking portal again, not to reverse anything but to move every account further out of reach. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was restructuring. Dad wanted to talk? He'd get one. But not on his terms. This wasn't punishment. This was precedent. Today I wouldn't just stand my ground, I'd define it. By late afternoon the storm finally cracked. Dad didn't text. He called, the kind of call where silence is a threat by itself. I let it ring once. Twice. 3 times. Then I answered on speaker, calm as winter air. His voice exploded through the room. What the hell do you think you're doing? Freezing MY accounts. His. Not ours. Not the family's. His. That word told a lifetime of truth. I paused. Support, I said evenly. Until priorities change. Priorities, he barked. You don't get to lecture me. We took care of you. We. No, I cut in softly. You took credit. Not care. Silence. Sharp enough to slice. He regrouped fast, the classic pivot. From rage to guilt. You're humiliating us. People are talking. There was not a trace of, we miss her. We love her. We hurt her and her child. Just image. Reputation. Performance. I saw your birthday post, I continued. Must have been a great day. A beat. He knew the trap before he stepped in, but pride pushed him anyway. They're your cousin's kids. We were invited and we weren't. I finished for him. Come. Unflinching. You expect us to attend every little. It wasn't a little thing. My voice didn't rise. It grounded. My daughter waited. She asked why she wasn't good enough. He exhaled, annoyance not regret. She's young. She'll forget. That sentence was the bullet. Not because he said it, but because once upon a time, they said that about me. And I did forget. But the body remembers what the mind buries. No, I said quietly. She won't. And neither will I. My hand didn't shake when I ended the call. My breath didn't hitch. Growth isn't loud. Sometimes it's a quiet refusal to collapse where you once did. Behind me, tiny footsteps padded across the rug. My daughter hugged my arm, her voice a whisper. Mommy, did I do good today? I kissed the top of her head. You did perfect. And in that moment I realized, I wasn't just cutting ties. I was breaking a cycle. Tomorrow he'd escalate. Manipulation always does before it dies. But today, I had already won. Not because I took something from them, but because I refused to let them take anything more from us. I expected anger. I expected shouting, blame, wounded pride. What I didn't expect was the next move. A message from my mother. Not a text. A voice memo. Her voice trembled, not with sadness but performance. Sweetheart, we're family. We made a mistake. But what you're doing, it's cruel. Cruel. Not the post that excluded my child. Not the years of selective love. Not the consistent reminders that someone else's children mattered more. Me. I was the villain now because I stopped funding the illusion. She continued. Your father is ill. The stress is hurting him. Is that what you want? The old me would have broken there. Would have rushed to fix everything, to carry guilt like it was my inheritance. But the new me sat still, spine straight, breathing steady. Because I remembering being 8 years old, watching my dad light up at someone else's achievement while mine sat folded in my backpack. I remember being 12, getting an award and hearing him tell a neighbor. She's okay. But Logan? That boy's going places. I remember every no-show, every forgotten birthday, every will come next time that never came. Now that their comfort cracked. Suddenly it was an emergency. I pressed play on the voicemail again. Listen once more, not for pain but for pattern. They weren't hurting. They were losing access. The access I funded. My daughter wandered in, clutching her teddy bear. Grandpa mad? She asked, eyes wide. I knelt in front of her, brushing hair from her forehead. No, baby. Grandpa's just learning. Learning what? She whispered. That love isn't something you pick and choose. It's something you show up for. She nodded, a quiet acceptance only children can hold. And then she did something small. But it nearly broke me. She reached up, held my cheeks with her tiny hands and said, I'm happy we have us. That's enough. I hugged her, breathing her softness in. For the first time in my life I believed it. I didn't need a dad to choose me anymore. I simply needed to choose her and myself. Tomorrow I'd respond. Not to fight, but to finish what should have ended years ago. Dad didn't call the next morning. He showed up, pounding on my door like the world owed him entry. I didn't rush. I didn't tremble. I opened the door slowly, and for the first time in my life he looked small. His face was red, breathing sharp. Enough games. Fix the accounts. Now. No greeting. No apology. No, how's my granddaughter? Just entitlement wrapped in volume. My daughter peeked from behind my leg, clutching her stuffed unicorn. Dad pointed past me. You're poisoning her against family. I stepped slightly forward, not hostile, just guarding. Family. I repeated softly. You chose where to show up. I learned from you. He scoffed. We made one mistake. I met his eyes, calm as snowfall. No, you made a pattern. I just finally saw it. For a moment something flickered, not regret but disbelief that his control no longer worked. You'll regret this, he snapped. I shook my head. No. I regret teaching my daughter that people who ignore her still deserve space in her heart. Right then my daughter tugged my hand. Mommy? Can we go play bubbles? Dad froze. The same child he overlooked, asking me for something simple. Pure. I turned back to him. Dad, if one day you truly want to show up, not for money, not for obligation, for her, the door stays open. Pause. But until then, access to me and to what I built stays shut. His jaw clenched. What do I tell people? And there was the root. Not love. Not loss. Appearance. You tell them the truth, I said quietly. That love needs presence. Not excuses. He blinked, slow, stunned as I gently closed the door. No slamming. No rage. Just closure. Outside silence. Inside my daughter handed me the bubble wand. We have us, she whispered again. And that's enough. I watched bubbles float into sunlight. Fragile, beautiful, free. And realized something. I didn't cut them off out of anger. I just stopped letting them cut me. Revenge wasn't freezing their accounts. Revenge was teaching my daughter what love really looks like. And choosing peace over permission.